Hey guys, this is Jerry Brewer of East Bay Hitting Instruction, and I want to talk today about why I love watching swings from the rear view and why I think it's really important. And I think it's really important because we see an aspect of the swing that is otherwise kind of difficult to see, and it's a kind of a common mistake we see in a lot of hitters. And so what I'm talking about is if we look from the rear side, what we see is I'm going to focus on this upper left-hand corner. Here's the guy working on this movement. He's working on it incorrectly, and basically what we see is him just kind of chicken winging his arm, slotting the elbow, any kind of cues you'll hear. I call this movement basically revving the motorcycle. It's a very, very weak movement. Just getting the elbow out in front of the shoulder, away from the body, and just kind of flattening the bat. From the front side, kind of looks like this. This guy's doing a one-handed drill, just bringing the hand straight down, slotting the elbow, and just kind of bringing the handle straight down. It's just not how we want to do it, and we can see this really clearly if we look at swings from the rear side. And so the first one I want to show is Bryce Harper. And I love Bryce Harper, if nothing else, because his swing is huge, his movements are huge, and they're very easy to point out. And we're going to see a different thing in Bryce's swing than we saw before. As you see here, he's going to take his rear elbow and bring it to his hip. And basically what he's doing there is a very, very powerful movement, really important. Instead of getting this elbow going towards the plate or wherever, or instead of slotting the elbow, he's basically engaging these muscles in his upper back. They're very strong muscles, very, very important. And pulling this shoulder down to his rear hip and basically setting his spine angle for this turn. Very, very important movement. It's not just his arms, he's using these big muscles in the upper back to help set up his swing and power his swing. We talk about getting the bat on path early. We talk about having depth in our swing, and this is how we do it. This is how we do it, by pulling this down, by engaging these muscles and keeping this bat back and this elbow back and letting our swing develop. Very, very powerful movement. We can see David Ortiz is going to do the same thing. He's going to come through here and basically do the exact same movement. This lat pull, this very strong movement, this crunching, pulling this rear shoulder to the rear hip and setting up this line. Very, very important, setting up this good shoulder angle by pulling this down, engaging this lat. And basically you can think of this as basically overlapping his load. You can call this his loading movement right here, and now he's starting to swing. So this overlap here is very, very important. Beautiful move by Ortiz. Movement right there, pulling that shoulder down to get that good angle. Let's see, who else do I want to show? Josh Donaldson from the top side, we can see the same thing. You see his rear elbows working back and then downward, not chicken winging it, not revving the motorcycle, but engaging that lat. His hip is starting to turn forward, but he's still pulling back with his rear elbow, engaging this muscle, pulling that shoulder down to set up that good swing path. Very, very powerful movement, creating the depth. He talked about yesterday on Twitter, keeping his hands behind his rear shoulders. How he does it, you have to pull him back. You have to engage these muscles to create this depth in the swing, to create this spine angle. Very, very important. Let's see, last one I want to show is Jose Bautista. He does it a little bit smaller than these guys, but he still does it, and it's very, very important. And here he is in the home run derby, coming forward. He's going to start to get ready, and then now he's going to engage that rear lat and pull that rear shoulder down to his rear hip and get that good angle to hit it right out of Coughlin Park. Really, really nice. There it is. Engage that rear shoulder, bring it down toward the rear hip, and just turn. And the bat's going to hit the ball. Okay, so I want to show that this is not some movement that we only see in hitting. It's a very common athletic movement, and we also see it in throwing. Here's Josh Reddick from a couple years ago before he let the beard go crazy. And we see here as he's coming together, he has kind of his shoulders pulled forward, kind of hunched. And what's he going to do? The exact same thing. Pull down, engage these back muscles, set up the angle, turn, and just basically his hand is along for the ride. Very similar to hitting. And if you engage the big muscles, the handle is going to be along for the ride. Very, very similar movement. Come down. Pull it down. You can see the Reddick gets distorted, and he just turns. Very, very similar. Very similar to David Ortiz. Alright, so these are very, very important movements. A lot of hitters struggle with this because they don't simply have the control of these movements. So break out your elastic bands and get to work and work on the muscles that pull. Very, very important to engage these muscles and allow our big muscles to open up and start working a little bit more to bring the bat head to where it needs to be. Alright guys, so think about these rear shoulder muscles. Very, very important. Okay, one last thing. I'm using videos courtesy of MLB Advanced Media under the Fair Use Act. Don't take my video off YouTube. I think it's pretty good. If you guys have any questions about this, send them to me. Bring your rear shoulder into your swing. It's very important, guys. Alright, take care.